Well, I feel like, man, whatever you do wrong must come back around in a circle. Just like, you know what I'm talking about? If you did wrong and everybody know it's blatant, the truth is out in the open. You sent that type of energy towards the Young Dolph way, and you got no Young Dolph knocked off. I talked to Govan. I did an interview with Hernandez Govan, the dude who set the whole, supposedly, you know what I'm saying, Dolph.
What's the first thing you plan to do?
Go hug my son.
Mr. Govan, you haven't smiled all this week, but obviously you have a lot to smile about. Just tell me just about what you're feeling in right now.
Like I said, it's kind of hard to explain the feeling of getting your life back, you know.
Looks like CMG is straight up crumbling right in front of us. For years, people have been whispering that cracks were showing in Yo Gotti's empire. But those whispers just turned into loud sirens that nobody can ignore anymore. Stan G, one of the most plugged-in voices out of Memphis, hopped on No Jumper and said out loud what most people have been too scared to even hint at. Yo Gotti might actually move against his own artist, Black Youngsta. And this ain't coming from random trolls online. This is someone who's been face-to-face with the streets, someone who's spoken to the same people who were tied up in the Young Dolph case. So when Stan G says it, everybody pays attention. This ain't just internet gossip, it's a serious warning. On No Jumper, he didn't sugarcoat anything. He came out swinging, saying that the same kind of energy Yo Gotti put on Young Dolph is exactly what got Dolph killed.
I put out a story, the other day I put out a story, Young Mob had ended up catching a Rico, you know what I'm talking about, and I put out a story. An hour later, the news ran the same story.
And if Gotti could go that far with someone he considered an enemy, what makes anyone believe he wouldn't do the same to somebody in his own camp once things start getting messy? Stan G basically painted Black Youngsta as a pawn. The one Gotti would push out front to handle the reckless moves, stir up the beefs, and shoot those wild videos other rappers wouldn't even dare to touch. At first it worked. It kept CMG's name buzzing heavy in the game. But now, with Dolph's murder case still haunting the streets, Stan G says that same role makes Youngsta look less like a weapon and way more like a liability. And in Gotti's world, liabilities don't stick around for long. The way fans saw it, Stan G wasn't just running through some random rap history, he was putting out a straight-up warning.
Well, hell, at this point, because you lost all the his last artist is Glorilla. She doing crazy because he putting a crazy bag behind Glorilla.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? So Glorilla, she gonna shine regardless right now. But when he go over there and dealing with them Texas boys, them folk got hit up. Them folk got hit up everywhere he go to, like the Fed watching. You know what I'm talking about? He signed that boy over there, that boy ended up going to jail. So they watching that boy so close right now.
His message was clear as day. Watch your back. He reminded everyone that in this game, what you put out always circles back. And right now, with the way Gotti moves, Black Youngsta's so-called loyalty might be the very thing that ends up putting him in danger. This is where things start looking shaky for CMG. For years, Yo Gotti had the strongest squad in Memphis. He had the roster locked down. Moneybag. Yo was running the numbers up. Black Youngsta kept the label buzzing with non-stop antics, and then Glorilla came in like a storm, blowing up practically overnight. From the outside looking in, CMG looked unstoppable, like a family that couldn't lose, backing each other up through everything, but that picture doesn't line up anymore.
The only reason I didn't do it, like I could have went over there and got with Gotti and got the co-signer and sped my whole process up, but at the same time, I couldn't do it because I had too much of my own money and too much of my own time invested into it. So it wouldn't have made sense for me. You see what I'm saying? And man, it's like, that's Memphis, bro. That town is too small. You know what I mean? Like, whatever, if anything, if he wanted to do something, I wanted to do something, bro, it's like, let's do it. That town is small. You know what I'm saying?
I'm glad to hear that.
It's just Memphis one of them cities like that. You know what I mean? Like, if you pay attention, it always been a artist out the city saying, I'm the king of Memphis, I'm the king of Memphis. That's why it done been so hard for other artists to pop out and take off, because everybody want to be that I. The big one is just me. You know what I mean?
Moneybag Yo's buzz slowed down heavy. Youngsta doesn't bring the same energy he once did, and Gotti seems to be putting all his focus on Glorilla. And even she's carrying major pressure on her shoulders since she's basically the only one holding up the label right now. Instead of looking like a family winning together, it feels more like a camp where everybody's wondering who's really safe. Then things really started heating up. Youngsta pulled CMG out of his bio and started posting captions that looked like direct shots. Fans noticed instantly. It wasn't a joke anymore. And then, right after that, CMG dropped his warning, and suddenly everybody stopped laughing it off like trolling.
Hey man, young rich tell them bitch what it is, bro.
Wild fan shit, young fly niggas,
Look,
CMG shit,
big.
young rich niggas, every count shit.
Nah, I would never f them broke ass. Like, shit. When I was broke, why would I f them now they broke? It ain't my fault you broke. You are playing on me. I'm telling my mom. Ooh, I'm pregnant. Ooh, my shoe just fell out. Ooh, my head just fell out. Ooh.
It started to feel like something real was brewing behind the scenes. The fans aren't blind. They're catching every shift in energy. CMG doesn't look tight-knit like before. Every post feels shady, every move feels off, and that whole talk about loyalty doesn't sound the same anymore. And to really understand why the tension between Yo Gotti and Black Youngsta feels so dangerous, you gotta rewind the story back to Young Dolph. That's where all of this really began.
For a long time, see, it's a long story behind Black Youngsta. See, Black Youngsta was hanging with one of Gotti enemies before he got with Gotti. Okay. So Black Youngsta is somebody who just jump around for the money. He's just a send out. He one of the biggest send outs from Memphis. They're just keeping it real.
Years back, Gotti wanted Dolph on his team, but Dolph turned him down flat. Yo Gotti thought he could slow down Young Dolph's career, but instead of stopping him, it only made Dolph shine brighter. That's when the beef flipped from competition to all-out war. Diss tracks were flying, public shots were thrown, and the streets felt that real tension in the air. And right there, on the front line, Black Youngsta. He wasn't just spitting bars. He was actually pulling up in neighborhoods, filming reckless videos, and doing the type of wild stunts most rappers wouldn't even think about touching. Back then, people thought it was just part of Youngsta's image. All entertainment, all show. But looking back, it was way too reckless. Even Stan G said straight up, those were federal moves. Youngsta was putting himself in situations that could only bring heat back on him and the entire CMG camp. So when Young Dolph was gunned down in Memphis, all eyes turned immediately toward CMG.
I hate this like that, cause bro, it's like, why, if you so gangster, why the f you rapping? Why you ain't out there killing? You need to go do some murders, bro. You know what I'm saying? If you're a killer, go kill shit. You out here on this stage for, you know what I'm saying? So I look at it like, so many people want to be rappers. And so many people I ain't no rapper, I'm a street. You know what I'm saying? It's just so much bullshit. So I had to wonder to myself, like, what the f am I? You know what I'm saying? All these people be lying like, they this and they that. But what, I had to really think like, what am I? And I'm like, I'm not a rapper. Because I like rapping, but I'm to my side, but I really like entertaining people.
Even if no charges were ever pinned on Gotti or Youngsta, the streets didn't need paperwork. They already made up their mind. And once your name gets tied to something that heavy, that shadow never leaves. That's the dark cloud hovering over CMG right now. And it's the exact reason Black Youngsta doesn't look like an asset anymore. He looks like a walking reminder of everything the label wants to escape but can't shake off. And don't forget, there was a time when Black Youngsta was CMG's ultimate wild card. He was the spark, the one clowning online, throwing money around, flexing stacks of cash, and keeping the label's name buzzing non-stop.
You know you come well regarded, man. I mean, Sean Jay-Z Carter speaks very highly of you, right? I mean, Steve Stout speaks very highly of you. You know, I can't find a person that says anything bad about Yo Gotti, and they always say how smart you are, how focused you are, and a lot to get into about your business personality and all that.
Whenever Yo Gotti needed the energy turned up, Youngsta was there, loyal to the core, ready to ride for the camp no matter what. But Stan G didn't see any of that as loyalty. In his eyes, Youngsta was being used. He straight up called him one of the biggest send-outs in Memphis, basically saying Gotti would send Youngsta to handle the dirty work, the risky moves, and the beefs that Gotti himself didn't want to touch. And when you think about it, that matches the whole pattern. Gotti stayed playing the calm, calculated boss role while Youngsta was the one out front, wilding out on camera, taking all the heat and all the risk. But the problem is, that role doesn't last forever. After Dolph's death, those antics stopped looking funny and started looking straight up dangerous.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Hernandez Govan, not guilty in count 2 of the indictment. It was said more than once, as the 45-year-old was acquitted on both counts. Govan was unable to contain his excitement as he embraced his pro bono defense attorneys, but out of view were the supporters of Young Dolph, who were hoping Lady Justice would tip in their favor.
Instead of being CMG's spark, Youngsta became the one holding all the baggage. Every diss, every graveyard stunt, every reckless move. The streets tied it all to him. And now, he's gone quiet. Stan G even said Youngsta is in hide mode because that Dolph case is still hanging over his name heavy. And in the streets, that silence makes him look finished. To Yo Gotti, that only makes it worse. It paints Youngsta as a liability, the type of person who could drag the wrong kind of attention to the camp at the worst possible time. And here's where it gets real obvious that something's off. Black Youngsta has gone viral more than once for scrubbing CMG out of his bio and claiming he's independent. Every time he does it, fans start speculating like crazy. Usually he ends up circling back around Gotti like nothing happened. But this time it feels different. Right after all that tension boiled over, and with Stan G's warning hanging heavy in the air, Black Youngsta jumped online and started dropping long, emotional rants. And these weren't random posts. Nah, these were loaded shots. He was calling out fake CEOs, fake big homies, and fake brothers, all titles that people have thrown at Yo Gotti for years. Then he flat out said he was done with fake love, fake loyalty, and putting trust in the wrong people. If that ain't a shot at Gotti, what else could it be? What really shook fans was the tone. These posts weren't playful stunts or jokes. They were raw and heavy. Youngsta was talking about losing friends, being alone, and even admitting he knew he could still be touched no matter how much money he stacked up. That doesn't sound like somebody clowning around. That sounds like a man who feels like he's in real danger. And the timing couldn't have been more suspicious. Right when the whispers about CMG falling apart were getting louder, Youngsta basically confirmed it without even saying Gotti's name. Everyone caught the message. He was telling the world that things inside CMG weren't as solid as the image they put out. And then came the response. Remember, Yo Gotti has always styled himself like a mob boss. His whole name comes from John Gotti, and he leans into that image heavy. So when Youngsta threw shade at fake CEOs, Gotti didn't clap back directly. Instead, he answered through music. Mafia-coded bars laced with slick flexes and even borrowing from Jay-Z's Dynasty intro. And this is where it gets scarier because in a mob-style structure, breaking rank isn't just disrespect, it's betrayal. And betrayal, that never ends clean. If we're being real, everything between Black Youngsta and Yo Gotti started falling apart right after Young Dolph's death. That's when the tension went from quiet whispers to something everybody in Memphis could see plain as day. Once Dolph was killed, the streets didn't waste time. Fingers pointed straight at CMG. Even Gotti's own brother, Big Jook, got picked up and questioned by police. And just recently, the alleged trigger man, Hernandez Govan, walked out acquitted. The whole situation left the streets buzzing with even more questions. And the last thing Yo Gotti needed was someone from his own camp trolling about it. But that's exactly what Black Youngsta did. He dropped a music video at a gravesite, standing next to a headstone with Dolph's last name carved on it. Then he doubled down by posting more reckless content online like he couldn't care less what anybody thought. To Youngsta, it probably felt like him being himself, loud, reckless, and riding for CMG no matter what. But to Gotti, that was bad for business. Fans picked up on the shift quick. What once looked like loyalty now looked like wild, uncontrollable recklessness that could sink the whole label. From that point on, the cracks between Gotti and Youngsta couldn't be hidden anymore. And it wasn't just them. CMG as a whole started looking weaker by the day. Moneybagg Yo's momentum slowed down, 42 Doug got wrapped up in legal trouble, and Youngsta went silent altogether. Stan G even pointed it out. Yo Gotti can't move the way he used to because there's too much heat after Dolph's murder. And now, the only real star keeping CMG alive is Glorilla. Now, instead of fans asking who's next to blow up, the question flipped to who's next to fall out. And this is where the fear for Black Youngsta gets real. Everybody knows Yo Gotti isn't just a rapper, he's plugged in heavy. Stan G made it clear as day, Gotti's got ties in high places. If he wants your career over, it's done. If he wants legal problems on your head, those can show up too. So when Youngsta throws shade at him online, it's not just rebellion, it's risky business. Because in Gotti's world, being labeled a liability doesn't just mean you're losing your spot on the label. It could mean losing everything. Let's be honest, If Yo Gotti and Black Youngsta really go to war, this won't stay just music beef. This could get ugly fast. See, Gotti moves like the president of Memphis. He's got the money, the influence, and connections that stretch way beyond the studio. And if things ever turn violent, it's not just rappers throwing disses, it's families, friends, and entire crews that could end up in the crossfire. But here's the twist. Black Youngsta ain't built to roll over easy. Black Youngsta is reckless, emotional, and unfiltered. He'll say exactly what's on his mind, no matter who it offends. And that's what makes him unpredictable. But when you mix unpredictability with Yo Gotti's cold, calculated boss moves, that's a recipe for pure disaster. Fans can already feel it coming. They're bracing themselves for something explosive. Nobody wants to see another tragedy like what happened with Young Dolph. The city's still scarred from that. But now, with Youngsta throwing shade at fake CEOs and Stan G openly warning that Gotti could turn on him, the writing on the wall is too bold to ignore. If this tension doesn't get fixed, if loyalty keeps turning into betrayal, CMG isn't just at risk of losing one artist. It could lose everything: the money, the power, and the whole legacy that Yo Gotti spent years building. And here's the thing. Fans aren't just speculating anymore. They're connecting dots. Every cryptic post from Black Youngsta, every subtle bar from Yo Gotti, every quiet move inside CMG feels like a chess match that could flip at any moment. People are even whispering that this whole situation could end with Youngsta being completely cut off, not just from the label, but from the streets that once called him a star. Stan G's warning keeps echoing louder. Watch your back. And when someone that plugged in says it, you know it's not just gossip. Gotti's power reaches deep, and if history tells us anything, he doesn't let liabilities stay close for long. That's why the fear feels so real right now, because in this world, loyalty can flip into betrayal overnight, and betrayal, that can cost way more than a record deal. For years, CMG looked bulletproof, but now, fans see a house of cards that could collapse with just one wrong move. Moneybag Yo's slowdown, 42 Doug's legal headaches, Glorilla carrying the whole empire on her back, and Youngsta teetering on the edge. It's all adding up. So now the spotlight is on CMG like never before. The label that once looked untouchable is suddenly fighting whispers of betrayal, silence, and power plays. And with Black Youngsta moving like a loose cannon and Yo Gotti holding the boss card, the whole thing feels like it's one move away from exploding. Fans can't ignore the parallels. Young Dolph's murder still haunts the city, and nobody wants to see history repeat itself. But with Stan G's warning ringing in everyone's ears, and Youngsta hinting that he's surrounded by fake love and fake CEOs, the writing on the wall couldn't be clearer. If this doesn't get resolved, CMG could lose more than just artists. It could lose everything that made it a powerhouse in the first place. And the question everyone's asking now is simple. Will Gotti cut ties before things get messier? Or will Black Youngsta fire back in a way that nobody sees coming? Either way, this isn't just rap drama anymore. It's a high-stakes story playing out in real time. If you made it this far, sound off in the comments. Do you think Yo Gotti and Black Youngsta can patch things up, or is CMG's empire officially collapsing? Make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you want more deep dives like this.